Hey guys, so welcome to this live stream. Honestly, we'll be a bit more talkative during this one since the plastic bag hasn't printed yet. We have a little like trouble with it since it's like clear printing resin. So sorry for that. But it basically means that I'll tell you about some actual mistakes with the epoxy, and I'd say like bad luck because, well, mistakes. How do you even know? How can you predict stuff like this? So you can ask me any questions that you want, anything. So probably the first actual diorama that I'll show you will be this one. Yeah. So probably, all right, that side first. Maybe turn it to a different one later on. So what happened to this one? We were, as you can see, trying to pour it in one layer. So did it through the freezer, basically started, as I remember, now just like analyzing, this, I realized that I've been part of most of the fuck ups that we had. So I can literally tell you about this one. So basically, we're thinking that since it's freezer, minus like what, 18 degrees, as I remember, we'll just show it to you from like this side so you see the bubbles a bit more. By the way, about 35 kilos, this 35 liters, well, I don't know about kilos. So basically you can see the bubbles inside coming from like the wood. Even though it was printed, I mean the wood itself, we added a little bit of like sticks and stuff, and probably added a bit more bubbles to like the diorama after all. Plus, in general, it did boil, as you can see by like the actual sides, the corners of the diorama. Well, basically, mainly this one and the other ones, which you can't really, notice when you have like the frame, the wooden frame on each side. So turned out it did have, like, we haven't seen those, but we could see the corners of the diorama go down, which means that it did boil. And the temperature itself, since our manager stayed here for a night just to check the temperature and everything, and that it doesn't like explode inside of the freezer or anything like that. Jesus. So stayed here, and the epoxy go up to like 70 degrees. Imagine the freezer that had like minus 18. So basically, yeah, still a bit, well, yeah. So just leave it there. I mean, you can see it's a proper failure. So it was, the diorama itself was made for like a customer, so as an order, and we had to remake it anyway. Guess who was remaking it? Because it was me. So yeah, turned out it didn't really work that well after all. So I'd say maybe some of you do like the bubbles inside it. It looks quite like, well, not realistic, but I'd say interesting. So I probably will put it on this side just so I don't need it anymore. Anyway, it was one of the biggest, I guess. Um, I'll respond to you in a bit. The big diorama cure. Well, if you're asking how much it took, like to cure, for that one, which is what 35 liters. Well, guess what? When it boils, it does get like cured, dry almost instantly. Yeah, we waited for another day maybe, but after all, it was just like done, you know. So I'd say this one is the second, which you can see is like not looking too bad, but the there are some details that you can see, like like that one on the bottom. Yeah, the line that you can see, it was probably coming from the octopus. The diorama itself did not boil that much because the corners did not go down. Um, but still, plus it was an order as well, so we had to remake it. Well, I was making this one, but I was not remaking the other one. So basically, what we also didn't like is that it's not cloudy enough, like the epoxy itself. So basically, when we um, mix some, the dye for epoxy, uh, we need to make sure that it's like cloudy enough, like muddy, if we want to show the actual like effect of the depth. So I say this one doesn't really show it. So basically, if you look at it from like the top, sorry, noise, you can literally see everything, like the octopus fully. So basically, we didn't like that, plus that thing inside. Yeah. After all, we're like, nope, need to remake. So the idea of the diorama was cool though, but yeah, when you need it to be perfect, plus if you have like a customer which wants something particular, you're just like, no, you have no actual choice anyway. So put it on the other side as well, just to show you some actual like good examples. We have those as well, even though most of those are sent to the orders, sent to, well, the orders, the customers, I mean, who ordered them. So this one was made for the videos. You probably watched them, maybe haven't, then go to the YouTube, to the main channel and watch it because it's quite cool. So anyway, this one looks quite, fine. Although you can't even see the actual, like surface of the first layer. So basically, it is there, but not really that visible. As you can see, it was not boiling. The corner didn't go down, and I mean the layer itself wasn't as big anyway. I gotta respond all the comments that you have written. So yeah, the bubbles themselves have quite a charm, but I'd say not everybody likes them. That's the problem. Like if you have a customer and you need to make like a perfect one, you can remake it. Maybe somebody, although if you like like any of those, you can of course ask us, like send an email, and we maybe will figure something out. Let's see. But yeah, I'd say if it is like some particular customer, it can't really do much. We don't really, well, by the way, there was one time when I was making a mold for that like the actual hill, like the rocky hill, for that one, the 35 liters one. I was making a silicone mold just in the case it boils again, but we were pouring it after all in 4 layers, I guess, or 5 even. So I didn't really need it. But usually we don't we don't make a mold, and I was not expecting the boiling from it. Honestly, I was like, with my colleagues, I was pouring that diorama like a basket after a basket, and then like just left it. By the way, the idea of the diorama with like the olive tree was that there should have been like a single brunch coming out of it. So we're pouring it till like it got to be just one brunch. And just closed the freezer and did not expect it to boil at all yet. There we were. So I had to make it from the very beginning. The rocky hill is what I'm saying, sculpted and everything. So yeah. So about talking about the surface of each diorama. In this case, let me show you somehow. With a torch, I guess, to show you the actual surface of it. It's made with some modeling gel. Yeah. Well, I guess the effect on the balm is not really that much. Not in this one because it's barely like anything, no actual waves or anything. So I'll just leave it on the side and I'll show you another good diorama. Imagine we have quite multiple. It's not always a fail. Oh, Jesus. It's not always a failure is what I'm saying. So with this one, it was made for the video as well. Like this. So, and here the actual like waves on the top, on the surface, which are actually, as you can imagine, not just like the modeling gel, but it has like the actual, yeah, it's quite noticeable structure, So it helps you to get the effect of the balm, like especially when you like move the torch, like the light, so you can actually see water playing. That's the effect that you want to get from this one, I guess. So not actually water playing, I mean more like the light. Imagine sunshine going through the waves. That's the effect, I guess. So let me respond to some of other questions that you have. So well, yeah. Remakings, well, sometimes you have to do well. At least the cost of the dioramas is like something that you need to think of after all. Talking about how much it's going to cost you, like if there's any remaking or anything. So just let me show you some other angle of it. Just actually, since it's not as heavy, I can properly show you every side of it, plus respond to some of the questions. Yeah, the narrative of the swimming pool is nice. Like the horror, stuff is what we also like and enjoy making. So yeah, the alien one is actually fun, and I don't really remember. I guess there are quite a few layers here as well. So it's just how you can, how you make sure that it doesn't boil. Thanks for reminding from the side. Yeah, so actually, that's why I couldn't see the layers, because report. I mean, I was not making this one, but the diorama was like basically standing, this way. So I'll like this. So, and they were pouring layers, this way. So basically, that's why you can't see them, but there are, they're there on the side. Yeah, that is quite a bit, quite a lot of layers. I'd say 5, as you can see. So that's how you basically hide them. Unique way. It's an actual unique way, since the freezer doesn't always work. It's not a guarantee, when you like talking about that diorama, that giant one. It's never a guarantee that the process will go well. And when it heats up, you can't do much. Like if the temperature goes up, well, I guess if it's like 35 degrees already, you can't really do much. It's just going to get more and more, and after all, like just fucking boil. So that is, a guaranteed like way result is what I'm saying. So I don't know. I guess when you can hide them and the customer doesn't really want something particular or like no layers at all, then yeah, you're good. You're good. So powder pigments, I'm not sure about that because the pigments that we use, like the dye for epoxy that we use, is like it's properly made for epoxy or like some similar stuff. So plus sometimes try to use acrylic. Um, Still like it sometimes works, but it does add some like cloud effect to epoxy. Plus I don't know, not always like it doesn't get mixed very well as well. So I'd say uh, just make sure it works and use some like actual pigments. Uh, from 10 models that we made, how many failed? It depends on the model. I'd say if we were making like quite a few of those, the big ones, well, it's never a guarantee. Plus, the actual model with the monster, with the shrimp monster, it did not fail, but there's a little mistake that I made as well. Well, I just didn't know, honestly. As I said, it's not something that you can predict, is what I'm saying. So in that case, I poured the second layer like a bit too early. So when I came to the studio today, I actually checked the temperature and it was about like 28 degrees. Maybe it was more earlier, like at night, who knows. But what I'm saying is the first layer, like the surface of it, got some waves. So it is more noticeable than like a straight line. But I guess can sort of work in the way, or if you record the diorama from like this angle, basically not directly where you can see all the lines, the layers. I guess it's okay. But as I said, I should have waited. Who knew? Also, when you try different epoxy, also can happen. Something like that can happen because. Well, earlier I used to basically pour epoxy in 2 days and it'd be fine, like the previous layer. But in this case, with this epoxy, it didn't work that well. I should have waited for 3 days. So I'd say it depends. I can't really give you the number. Like maybe 3 would would fail if we try something new, is what I'm saying. So I don't know. It's just how epoxy works. Did we ever made line number? I don't really get. I'm not sure. Sorry. But yeah, I guess I gave you quite a bit of an information of my own mistakes and some of our like shared ones. Basically, yeah, there was another one with like some biblical diorama that I was making for the video as well. You can go back to the channel and actually find the mistake that I will tell you of. So basically, there's one layer, there were four, and there was one that boiled, and somehow the dye went somewhere, so it got to be more clear than the rest of them. So I counted well, like all the drops that you use, that you add to the actual, you know, in the actual like epoxy that you have. So basically, I don't know how it happened, but it happened. Anyway, I hope it was an interesting live stream for you, and you got something, you know, you got to know something new. I guess you did. So thank you for being with me, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.